Uh, I just finished watching Split like 10 minutes ago. I'm a little late to that. I don't know how it got past me the first time. I'm gonna say right away before there will be spoilers later. But like I want to do with like a review like this is that like in case someone hasn't seen it, like part of the review is to encourage people to see it, and then in like the latter half, I think that I'll let you know like, oh, there will be spoilers from now on. And I don't think there'll be that many either, but like, yeah, or maybe not. Whatever. Anyway, but right now, avoiding spoilers. This is a fantastic movie. I don't know how it escaped me for this long, because I think it came out in 2016. Like, it was only on my radar recently after Glass came out, which I haven't seen yet. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, like M Night Shyamalan, Unbreakable came out, I don't remember how many years ago, a long time ago now. Could have done the research, but I don't. So it came out a while ago. I watched it a while ago. I really enjoyed it a lot. And then somewhere like then Split came out. I don't know what happened. I didn't have enough cool people around me to tell me to watch it or something. Like I don't remember anyone talking about it. I don't really remember it being a thing. I don't like if I knew anything about it at all, I would have watched it. Even if, and this isn't really a spoiler at this point because it's years later, even if I didn't know about the relation to like the trilogy, I guess, of Unbreakable and then Split and then Glass, even if it wasn't a part of the story, which I mean, when Split came out, no one knew that Glass was going to come out, right? You had no idea until maybe, well, whatever, there was no idea. So like, but I didn't know it was a part of that story at all. Even without that, I don't know, I didn't even look at a trailer. Whatever, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. It is so good. I'm super impressed. I'm super pumped and jazzed that I just watched it. The only reason I watched it now is because Glass came out and I was like, oh, I really want to see that. And I never saw Split. And like, now that I know it's a part of that, like, I need to see that. And like putting aside the element that it's part of this larger story, to me, that is not the story in this movie. And the same thing like with any good, well, maybe not any good trilogy, I should say, but like with this type of trilogy, the way that it's done is phenomenal. I feel like Unbreakable has a certain message going on that's it's setting up this larger story, but that's not all that's there. But for me, like Split right now, like, and I haven't seen Glass yet. Well, anyway, like I said, it's a couple of years late, but I just need to talk about it. And if for some reason the movie's escaped you too, then you should definitely watch it. It's fantastic. I don't know, where do I start? I know what I want to say at the end, and I don't know what I want to start with. It's very cerebral. It's a thriller. It's suspenseful. I would not say it's in the horror genre whatsoever. I would not say it's like action. It's very suspenseful and thriller. And like I said, it's what's the name? There's a name for that kind of suspense or thriller that's more cerebral and intellectual and whatever else. I don't know what to call it. I can't remember the name that I'm thinking of for that genre of movie, but it's fantastic. And there are like action style elements. There is some like physicalness happening that makes it moves things in a pace and like it makes it thrilling and suspenseful. It's not just setting things up like mentally, but they're trying to set this up so I don't spoil anything before I say, hey, there's going to be spoilers, right? So like I don't know, like I said, but like pushing aside the way that it adds to this larger story, which I don't even know how it adds to it yet, honestly, like because I haven't seen Glass yet. I don't know exactly how this is going to play in, but it's setting up a character. It's setting up a character, and well, I don't know if we call him the Horde or we call him Kevin right now. Let's just say Kevin, this character Kevin, this man who has split personalities, multiple personalities, many of them, and like it's just it is phenomenal. If I'm trying to say like you should watch this movie, if before I get into some things that might spoil it, things I really 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 want to talk about, which are kind of borderline spoilers but not, but like if you you enjoy suspense and thriller, period, like, and not ones that are like, oh, it's action packed, that's what makes it suspenseful. No, not at all. Action packed movies can be super dumb and have no suspense whatsoever, because you know everything that's coming, you know what's going to happen. It's too predictable and basic. Action packed is not equal suspenseful for me. And this has like it has, like I said, some physical elements of like action or whatever. It's definitely darker. So again, like some of my favorite movies have an element of darkness in them. We're gonna get into that. I mean, really, without spoiling things, I mean, this is a story about belief, about faith in yourself. That sounds so corny. It's not like that. It's like it's got so many elements. The power of the mind, and like really, I guess what it gets at, the root of what it really gets at, and I guess this won't be a spoiler, but like, there's some quotes I want to pull from the movie, but before getting to those specifically, like it talks about pain, and talks about how you can't achieve any greatness until you've had pain in your life, that people that are pure are nothing, people that don't know pain or whatever else, right? Like that you need to embrace that and build upon it. And this is a theme within something that I've acknowledged anyway for a long time with myself, with further, I don't want to say research, but things that I take in that remind me of that. I've made artwork about it and written about it, and things like that. And that is necessary. That's a growth mindset, and in a way, I mean, that's part of a growth mindset, is like taking these challenges and things and then manipulating them into growing as a human being and all that stuff. This makes it sound super corny, but it's not. Like, the movie is not. It does it in this fantastic, amazing way. The movie stays dark and on more than one level of like dark, yet has this, somehow weaves in this story of like inner strength and prevailing over challenges, and it's crazy. I don't know how to explain it without really explaining it and getting into it. It is nuts. Like I said, before I cut it off and start going into the other stuff that'll be more spoilerish, like, I should have looked at the trailer so I could tell you, like, oh yeah, this isn't a spoiler, it's in the trailer, so you would have already known this if you saw that. Dark movie with amazing suspense and thriller elements, very cerebral and intellectual, and if you like that kind of thing and you like to get dark and deep and have things to think about, and like this would be for you. I would say this is automatically for you. If I want to talk about being artistic or poetic or whatever, it's in a way that I mean, it challenges the viewer in a way, and I won't say that it challenges you and asks you something. I mean, I'm sure it does, but it more reminds you. I mean, it depends on who you are and where you're at. It gave me this reminder, this beautiful reminder that we need to acknowledge our pain and find a way to use that to grow. Which, again, I'm not putting it. It sounds corny. I'm gonna read this quote before I like switch off into like the spoiler section. We are glorious. We will no longer be afraid. Only through pain can you achieve your greatness. The pure are the untouched, the unburned, the unslain. Those who have not been torn have no value in themselves and no place in this world. They are asleep. Whew. Continuing that, the broken are the more evolved. And that's the big, I guess, theme. I hope that's not a spoiler for anybody, but that to me that sums up the movie, and I'm not going to tell you where that is in the movie and in the film, but to me that's what this story is really about. It is not about this whole comic book come to life like superheroes and villains. That's not what this story is about. This movie is about what I just read in those quotes right there, and it does it in an amazingly dark and beautiful way. It's so rich with layers of amazing metaphor and darkness and character. Like that's. Now this I will have with more spoiler stuff. So spoiler stuff here. It's rich with character, which is like kind of punny because of like there's so many characters that Kevin develops, right? Like Kevin develops these personalities or characters throughout his life as early as 3 years old, and we know that's because the trauma that he received from his mother. That's when like Dennis comes because he's got to be a clean freak, and he said he doesn't want to attract attention if he's like super neat and doesn't cause a mess or an accident of any nature. Then he knows that his mother won't, get after him and abuse him in any way. So we know as early as 3 he started developing these personalities, and I don't know in what order. I don't know how many he develops by what time or whatever else. I've definitely got questions of my own about stuff. But anyway, before we got to that end part where it really solidified, and there were hints of those themes before, but there were still parts of me that were like, man, this is amazing, because we're talking about how, a person can develop multiple personalities, or at least one different personality, or whatever, in order to protect I don't know what to call, I'm just going to call them the original. They create these alters to protect that original personality and being. And then we find through things, like it mentions it a couple times and really brings it home towards the end again, that Hedwig, the whole reason that the beast occurs, and the whole reason, like Dennis and Patricia talk about how they are, Hedwig says that Dennis and Patricia took the light from all the others so that they would protect him, because no one's ever going to make fun of him anymore. I wonder if we'll learn more of this backstory in Glass, because it's just what happened to Hedwig. Like he said, people made fun of him, right? Like people teased him. He's 9 years old. He seems pretty innocent and not malicious in any way. He seems kind of weak. We see that in kind of the bedroom scene with Casey, and she hits him, and he tries to fight, whatever. Anyway, so Dennis and Patricia take over because of it's just crazy. It's like the personalities developed to protect Kevin, this original. All these alters develop to protect him, and then he develops another personality that is young and possibly innocent and weak, and then somehow people make fun of that personality, or that personality feels vulnerable, and then other personalities play the role of needing to protect that personality, and then that might have been the birth of the beast. We've got the horde, and it's I love the amount of layers and how rich this story is with character. And I keep saying that, and I'm not just talking about the characters that Kevin develops, but even with Casey, right? We know that it set it up so well, so well. When all these little subtle things that I'm sure if I rewatch it, I will get more out of it, and I'll see all these other subtle things. But they talk about how Dennis is how he stalked 2 girls. Those 2 girls, I think is what Hedwig says, for 4 days, I think. And we know that Casey's not a part of that. Casey is not one of those 2 girls, right? It was coincidence that she was there. And that was it, because those 2 girls, the other 2, were impure because they were so protected and innocent and didn't feel any pain or were asleep, right? So that was what they needed for the beast to feed on, was this weakness in purity, which is what they call impure, which is amazing. That's something that, it's so good. I can't believe how good it was. Whatever, they have all these subtle things of being okay, so we know for many reasons, even at the very beginning, it's set up when they're talking about Casey, she apparently just run away from home a lot, and she's always in detention, and she just seems like a more troubled person, and because she is, and she doesn't want to be at home, and she says that later. She reveals this secret to Hedwig, that she tries to gain favor with him with trust by telling him the truth and saying you let me know if this is a lie, because she was trying to trick him, right? And she's saying that she is always getting in trouble at school on purpose so that she can be alone and away from people, because she doesn't want to be around people, whether that's a larger trust issue with a lot of people or whatever. But we know it was set up so well that you just know that something's happening with her uncle. We know that she suffered abuse somewhere, and then I was is it going to be her uncle and her dad? What's going to go on? And then the stuff happens in the woods, and it's oh my goodness. And then as soon as I see the uncle in the suit, I'm like, her dad's dead. Her dad's dead, and now her uncle's gonna take care of her. And it was just like, I'm not upset at the fact that I saw that coming. It was still done crazy, like super, super well. Like I said, sometimes in movies, if things are too obvious too often, I'm like, okay, this is too basic. It didn't surprise me. It didn't give me whatever. But I'm not upset at the fact that I could see some of this stuff getting set up, because I thought it was still super well done, and I was crazy invested, and I wasn't getting brought out of it because I knew it was coming, because I didn't know everything that was coming, right? They talk about early, like, being like, I think, I don't know if Hedwig says it or Dennis says about them being, I think it was Dennis, like, whatever, like sacred food, basically, right? And that's the thing, is that they didn't know that. I mean, the horde or whoever, like Dennis, like stalked the two girls, made sure that they were like appropriate and this like sacred food, and that they were gonna set up this meal so that the beast could gain power from them, or like really develop or whatever, right? Didn't do any background on Casey, and we, like, again, we knew something was going on with Casey. You got this impression that there was a darkness, that she was also really intelligent and strong. She stood up to the girls so many times of being like, no, that's dumb. Like, I'm going to tell you when a plan makes sense. I'm not doing that. That's going to get us like killed or whatever. That's not going to help us. We know that she's incredibly smart. We know that she's been through some shit that makes her a stronger person with a stronger personality. And then that gets revealed, and it's just set up so well that, like, right when she is, like, here's the one crappy thing about knowing about Glass, is that I know that this character, like Kevin, is in Glass, so I knew he wasn't gonna die, right? Because I'm like, oh man, like if I had seen this when it came out, I would have been like, oh man, when they're like there and she's in like the cell. Well, like I even before that, like when she got the shotgun and stuff, I'm like, man, like physiologically, this evolved being of the beast, he can't get hurt. He's not going to die. He's not going to get killed. The shotgun's not going to do anything. Like, again, I'm not angry about knowing that ahead of time. They set it up, and it is like, I think I was supposed to know that. I'm not like insanely smart or something. But when we kind of know that, like there's always still a shred of like hope. Like, but I, unfortunately, because I knew about the existence of Glass, I knew that he was in it, and I'm pretty sure chronologically what happened after this movie, it wasn't like a prequel or something, then that, like, I'm like, okay, he's not going to die. So we know he's not going to die, so what's going to happen here? She going to die, whatever. But, I mean, she wastes the first two shots, and maybe she needed four. Maybe she could have killed him, right? Because he's, like, down on his knees, like, suffering. If she had one more shot, she could have blown his head off, and maybe that would have been it. Couldn't have regenerated, right? But anyway, he's like saying those lines that I quoted earlier as he's like coming towards her, and he's like this manifesto, this thing that really brings. Again, I'm not upset about it, because sometimes in the movie they say the title of the movie or something, and it's like, oh, and it's like a big like groan moment and an eye roll, and you're just like, okay, like we already got the message. You didn't have to do that. I like the fact that they really spelled it out here. Because it was still done in such a powerful and beautiful way. And so he's saying all this stuff, and then I'm thinking like, no, like you're mistaken about her. Like Casey is not one of those two. Like Casey is different, and how do you not recognize that? And I was thinking like, I almost started thinking it was a flaw in the movie, because I'm like, how do you not recognize, like, you're the superior being, and we know that you have some supernatural abilities. Why isn't intuition one of those things? And then her shirt was torn up and in the way, and she took it off and just revealed like way more of her skin, because she was in like her tank top or something, and it was just like, and you see the cigarette burns and scars and stuff of abuse that I don't think was her doing it to herself. But then that's when, like, it's like, the beast is like 1.5 meters away from her, trying to like get through the bars, and he's succeeding, and then he sees it, and he's like, no, you are different, and you like are beautiful, and like you are strong, and you've been through shit, and like he leaves, and then he leaves her alone, which is great, because it stays true to that character being like, I'm not going to get anything from you. You are an evolved being as well. You are broken, and therefore you've had the opportunity, and you've used the opportunity to have to gain strength, to grow, to have power, right? which we see that she does. And it's interesting on that note because at the very end, when the police officer is saying like, oh yeah, like Casey's guardian is here, Kay, your uncle is here. And we're like, Kay, that brings us back to the fact that we know at the very beginning, they talk about her running away and stuff. And it's like, yeah, and so now what's going to happen? I'm really curious about that story, and I don't think it's going to continue in Glass, but but I'm like, hey, does that mean like, we know that, and she just went through more shit, right? She just went through so much more, so she has more, like, I mean, this is a point of evolution for her right now too, where she gets an opportunity to be like, no, I am not taking this shit from my uncle anymore, and I don't think we're ever gonna know what happens in that story. And she, yeah, like, I'm curious, does she go? Does she kill her uncle? Does she just tell even if she just tells the police officer, look, my uncle abuses me, I'm not going back there, even then she gets out of the situation, right? But no matter what, I think we have hope that she is going to get out of that situation, that she just understood. And the fact that the Beast being this character that's supposed to symbolize like darkness and we're afraid of it and all this stuff, gave her the power, gave her an understanding and a knowledge of who she is and what she can do. And I think she's going to use that, and that's just amazing. Again, is just like that this character, this thing that we're supposed to be afraid of and everything else, right, is created through pain, right? Like the Beast is created to partially it is to protect Hedwig, and partially it is also so that Dr. Fletcher is doing all this research and saying like, no, like, this woman, like, she regenerated like parts of her body because she developed personalities that could see, and now she can see through those personalities, and like talking about all this stuff, and people don't believe her, and Hedwig and like Dennis or whatever, it's like now they'll believe, like the whole thing. Patricia was kind of setting it up. Maybe she's really, really, really the brains of things more than Dennis even. Seems like he's carrying things out more, but Patricia's like, okay, set this planet in motion as to how, like, now they will see. They cannot ignore this because we are going to develop into a supernatural being, and it's going to be through these personalities. And so they want to prove Fletcher right. They know Fletcher is someone they can trust. I guess this brings me to one point of like weirdness, is that the Beast ends up killing her just because he's completely, there's no. He says thank you, but maybe it's just because she was threatening his livelihood, right? Like, or his life. But he even says, like, you've served your purpose basically till now. I don't remember exactly what he says, but something of that nature. And like, thank you for getting us this far was the sentiment that I got. Yeah, because she was going to try to put a stop to things, right? And so it's just it's something else. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think even on a surface level, most people could enjoy this, and like I'm saying that on a second watch, I don't know when I would watch it again. I will. I just don't know when. I'm sure I can get even more out of it. And like I said, it's so rich with so many themes and amazing moments. And again, like, to wrap it all up again, it's just that I keep going back to that the last 10 minutes or so with Casey, and how the Beast is this character that's represented and something we've been afraid of coming the whole time. We know that this thing is going to happen, and we've been anticipating, and it's going to be this horrible event through this person that we're going to meet this character, this Beast that is so many things. There's fear and pain, and all these things, and that is what teaches Casey that she is an evolved individual. It's so good. I can't recommend it enough right now. Again, like, not everyone's gonna like it, obviously, but I mean, like, it's one of those movies I think like everyone should watch. Even like, it's gonna go over people's heads for sure. For some folks, I completely get that. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm still riding high off it. Beautifully well done, dark movie. It doesn't make me any more or less excited for Glass, because I really don't think that I think Glass is going to focus on bringing all these three characters together and focus more on like the comic book to come to life type story. That's my assumption, and I'm going to see it within the next couple of weeks, I think. So I still want to see it. Unbreakable was good. It was really good. This is a whole different beast.